This is Pete Orme.
Hello.
Hello. A lot of people we know you from Awesome Free, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you get into house music?
My first introduction into house music was through spinning records. But prior to it dropping, my eldest brother, Tom, he was a pub DJ. And he used to DJ at a pub in Swinton, the Bull's Head.
Oh, I used to go in there. Yeah.
And he had a Friday night and a Sunday night, and you couldn't get in the place.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was one of them pub DJs who talked a lot.
Yeah.
But he wasn't talking to himself. He absolutely had it rocking, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get in there on a Friday and a Sunday.
That would have been about 1987, 88, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it'd be 86, 87 going into that. Yeah. So we were coming of age in terms of, being able to go into pubs.
Yeah.
We're of that age, and there's 5 brothers in our family.
Yeah.
Tom was the eldest, so we'd start going into the Bull's Head, and I was encouraged by him to start buying records. And when we were younger, I always listened to his record collection.
Yeah.
There was 5 brothers, but he went to he passed the old 11 plus.
Oh wow, yeah.
So he ended up going to De La Salle, where the other 4 brothers all went to secondary modern, Cathedral High in Salford.
Yeah. So
it was always slightly different in terms of the people who he'd met and the music he was listening to with his friends at De La Salle. There's a lot of musicians in there at his age. And so I was always listening to his record collection, but then I was listening to sort of like early Human League stuff. He was buying stuff like that. He started DJing. So, I remember listening to Lexicon of Love.
Yeah.
From his collection and, early Simple Minds stuff, who went on to be my favourite band. I followed them all over because of that. So, but getting back to the DJ thing, he would DJ, but he'd also take me with him to spinning records when it was Harry.
Yeah.
Russ.
Yeah.
Ended up being Russ's best man at his wedding.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come to my involvement with Russ.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, he lived with me for a while.
Did it?
Yeah, he did, yeah. So.
Did you have a house share, Nichols?
Yeah, it was my house.
Yeah.
He lived there. He'd come in and rented a room off me.
Yeah.
His house share was another set of guys, and then he ended up coming and living with me. So I found myself in there on a Friday afternoon and a Saturday afternoon with my brother Tom, listening to all this sort of like the American disco and just different kinds of music. So I started DJing myself, finding bits of gigs, copied his record collection, and then I'd go in so I was buying from Russ and Ken before house music.
Yeah.
I was already in there, So, and even back then, you'd see DJs like Leaky Fresh in there, and and Stu Allan.
Yeah.
Stu Allan. I mean, I remember being studying. I remember being studying spinning records when house music first dropped, and Stu Allan said, and I quote, and I always used to remind Stu of this in a joking way. If Stu Allan said, "What is this music?"
Did he?
He says, "It's fucking rubbish. I'll never play it."
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he did, yeah. And he said it in front of Russ and Ken as well, honestly.
Wow.
And if I ever did a gig later in years on the rave scene with Stu Allan, I mean, I had a residency with him at the old Millionaires club.
Yeah.
And I always used to say to him, "Never play this, would you, Stu?" God rest his soul.
Yeah.
So, come to late 87, 88, there's a different kind of music coming through spinning, and I'm like, there's a different kind of person coming in, starting to buy that music as well. And my brother Tony, he got a job in there, and Rave interviewed Tony.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, it's like, hang on a minute, what's this? And then from that, I knew about the Hacienda anyway. I'd been in there for live shows before, sort of like Pickering and the likes of started dropping, doing the hot nights and stuff. But that had slightly begun before I realised through Russ. Russ was like, we need to go up the Hacienda. It's like, I was like, right, okay. At the same time, the Ecstasy revolution was happening.
Yeah.
So that's how I've got into the music. It helped that Russ had become a good friend, and Ken. And Tony was working in there as well. So that helped, that I was getting to white labels, and I was, privy to getting stuff earlier than everybody else. A bit of stuff getting saved for me. And it become an obsession. And I know anybody who DJs will tell you the same thing. It was brand new. Nobody, you couldn't quite work out what was going on at first.
Yeah.
You couldn't, because if you couple the music with this brand new club scene,
yeah,
and everything feels completely different, and you're not too sure. I mean, I was started listening to house music thinking, how do people react to this?
Yeah.
It's for the best part repetitive, the most part, sorry. And all you're listening to is just you could be listening to one sound for like a minute 30, 2 minutes, and you're like, how's it going to work? It's only when you get into a club environment and Ecstasy comes into play that it makes sense. And I know that you will get people who say to you, well, it didn't have to be about the drugs for me, but listen, let's have it right. They're in the minority and a fraction. Most people were taking this brand new drug. The music had landed at the same time. And all of a sudden, there's this incredible explosion. And it's so exciting. It's reminiscent. It has to be the same as the hippies in the 60s with LSD, and that new wave of music, and their drug was obviously hallucinogenics and pot. So I always think to myself, it must have been the same feeling for them. As we're witnessing something and feeling something that they must have felt.
Yeah.
And it's only since the hippie revolution that this new change has happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had punk, you've had all the rest of it, but not on such a scale.
Yeah.
That it completely wipes everything. Listen, if it makes the headlines, if parties start making headlines and news at 10, you know there's a change.
Yeah, you forget that though, how big it was.
Something big's happening, yeah. So, I mean, something on like on a huge scale is beginning to happen here. So I've gone from trying to play the same music that my brother played to being obsessed with getting into shops. And I bought most of my records from spinning, and then I started going into Eastern Bloc. Found a bit snobbish myself,
Did you have an allegiance? Some DJs did that, didn't they?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
was yours spinning
records? Yeah, spinning records. I mean, Russ was my mate at that time. I'd made a real sort of like bond with him. He became a really, really good friend. Yeah. So to walk into spinning, I did it when they owned Underground Records once. I only did it once, and I just felt the power of like, why have you come in with an Eastern Bloc record?
I even felt a bit of guilt when I first started buying records.
Honestly, I didn't. So the whole thing's kicked off now, isn't it? So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm buying all this music, and I'm playing it at home in my bedroom. Got decks set up. I've bought a pair of decks. They're like, you turn your Technics on for the first time with a Gemini mixer or whatever, and it's like, oh my god, I've got the Hacienda DJ box in my bedroom now.
Yeah,
it's like I've got what they've got.
Yeah,
and it just, you become obsessed with it, and I mean obsessed. It's just like every waking hour is thinking about can I mix? Can I learn to mix? And you know, and that's what it was like. That's what it was like for me. And I'm sure it's no different to anybody. You are obsessed with what's going on in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You just, you know, decks are on every night. Come on, get a shower from work. Bang, right.
Yeah.
And then going buying records. And I'm thinking, right, I was really, really lucky. I was very, very lucky to start getting gigs because Tony, my younger brother, he was like, he'd already got his foot on the ladder. He was working at Spinning, so he started getting gigs. And then he started DJing with the 808 State guys.
Yeah.
And then he became their tour DJ.
Yeah.
So because of where he was, I started getting the odd gig warming up for them. Or if they were away on tour, if they had a residency at the Soundgarden, I would get their gig.
Oh, I forgot that was Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Yeah, Piccadilly, wasn't it?
So
Yeah.
So I'd get a warm-up slot there, and I'd get a warm-up slot here. So I was lucky because, you know, it wasn't, I mean, I was probably terrible at the time as well, mix-it-wise. I was probably, you know, I know I wasn't the best, but I was getting gigs. So that kind of sort of like made me think, well, you really need to really hone your craft here. And then other opportunities came. I ended up working for Eric Barker at my
yeah.
So it was at the back end of when all your Steve Williams and Sasha's and Tony were all playing there. It kind of moved on. But Eric Barker said to me, "It's Friday night here for you if you want it." So I stayed at the Man Alive Club. So I started DJing there at the Man Alive. And then he ended up going to Club Vogue, renting that space. So I moved with him to there. So now I'm DJing at a couple of places. I've got a little bit of part-time work when they moved to Underground Records from Spinning. I've got the odd Saturday here, but all of a sudden I started to get more and more work. So I think the Saturday night at Vogue is the one, because it was a prolonged period that it was well over a year that I was playing at that club.
Was that Man Alive, did you say?
No, Man Alive was a Friday night.
Where was Vogue?
Vogue was the old. It changed to, is it Pop Cafe on what's it called now? Near the Midland Hotel.
My mind's gone blank now. I'll have to Google it after. I remember Vogue.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
trying.
think it was called Pop Cafe after that.
Yeah.
And it was a funny one, really, because I don't know how Eric managed to wangle in there, but he was just brilliant at doing that anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was his game. But it was in receivership. So he got in with these guys, and he ended up opening the club back up again on a Saturday night. And I ended up, he wasn't there for that long, but the receivers still said to me, do you want to carry on playing here? They got in contact with me. So all the time it was open, it was in receivership, the club. So I played there for well over a year, and then I ended up doing some Thursday nights there as well. And at that stage, because I've got a regular Saturday night playing, and I've got the Thursday night as well, that by the way, I was working on a fish market at the time.
Yeah, your brother was as well.
So, you know, we were, so it's funny actually, because there's about 5 shops in that fish market, and everybody who worked in there went to the Hacienda.
Was that in the Arndale?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was one upstairs, the old fish market.
Yeah.
So everyone who worked in that fish market on a Wednesday would go to the Hacienda. Probably a couple would go to Conspiracy on a Thursday. We'd go back to the Hacienda on a Friday, and then most of us went to the Thunderdome on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we did it.
I've got an idea.
Do you know what? When I sit here now, I think to myself, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Because we started early on the fish market, and there were long days, and they were hard. But honestly, we would be out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
And working as well.
And work.
Yeah.
And go in the market and work. But
I bet you'd have to get up early as well, wouldn't you, for that?
Yeah. We were in work at like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Was you?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's your age, and
Yeah.
it's just you
But there was
thirst.
a wave of excitement, though, wasn't there, about
Yeah.
what was going on?
I mean, honestly, it's only now that I'm sat here with you talking to you about it. I don't really look back. Really, I'm not one of them people who sort of like tries to project into the future as well. I kind of live in the moment, so it's interesting that since you got in contact with me to say, do you want to do this thing and talk about Manchester and your involvement in whatever guise it's been, that I've started to go. I was going to make some bullet points, but then I just thought, and Russ.
We could have like a test card come
I
out.
know, yeah, then. 89, 80. The thing is, you can't remember.
Yeah.
That's about the size of it. It's all very clouded.
But the best thing with doing these videos is that people remember some things.
Yeah.
So then as I go along, it's like, I'm getting a good timeline here.
I would challenge anybody to come up with an accurate timeline unless you've actually got a super diary on it, because there was just so much. I mean, if you got involved in it like I did, and most of us did, there was so much you were cramming into a week. I mean, it was like every spare minute was filled with either practicing DJing, going out with DJs, going out to other clubs, watching DJs. So your obsession is, what's he playing? How's he done that? He's good. I'm gonna try them two records together. So there's all that, and then I ended up getting, I think it was a Friday night with Russ at the Banshee.
Oh right, yeah.
So we did that for quite a while.
Yeah.
I've just been in Piccadilly Records actually, and he said, I don't know if you'll be able to tell him.
Go on.
When it was, because I can't remember. I was hoping you could tell me actually, Russ.
So the Banshee, Carl Cox, did he start there, Carl Cox?
I'm not too sure about that.
I know he did the Banshee, didn't he?
I think I'm not too sure about that. I know that me and Russ were the first two DJs in there playing house music.
Yeah.
And we had it for quite a while, and then for whatever reason, I don't think it went tits up because the crowd was the same, but something happened. They decided to bring other DJs in. But the funny thing about the Banshee was, it was downstairs, obviously, and you're talking about an old rock club. So we're starting house night in an old rock club, and but as you went down, you go down into the bottom, then you go off to the left. And the DJ box was actually a room. It wasn't, you weren't out in the crowd. You actually went into a dorm. You were actually in a room.
Yeah.
And the monitors were in the room as well. So once you dropped a couple of these and you were getting going, and there was like your friends were in there as well. It was quite a large room.
Yeah.
You'd forget there was a club outside, and it's the only place I've ever done that where I just thought,
what's going on out there?
It was a piece of glass.
Yeah,
there wasn't. People couldn't look into the DJ box.
Yeah,
so we'd be in there, and all the drinks were in there and everything. You would have like large spaces of time where you'd go, fucking hell, actually we're in the club. Which was great fun, but I'm just thinking back about it now, and I just think, wow, you'd never get away with that now.
Yeah.
They shut the door, we locked the door, and it was a space about this big. It's bigger, actually.
Yeah.
And that went on for quite a while. So all of a sudden, I've got residencies, and then people start to book you. People see you in the record shop or whatever. I don't know how we got booked then, to be honest with you, because no one had mobile phones, and unless you gave someone your home number, it makes me wonder now how we actually got booked by
you wouldn't have an email address, would you? Or...
No, nothing. So it was interesting. They'd have to track you down to a venue that you were playing in, but so I had that. and that's getting into sort of like the back. That's like getting into well into 1990 now.
Yeah.
And then my brother Tony, he started playing for Chaos in Leeds. A promoter called Tony Hannon, he was an amazing promoter at the time. Like, he was a super forward thinking promoter. He had it away big time. And so Tony started playing with Sasha and Steve Williams at Chaos, and that's on a Tuesday night, once a month.
Was Chaos a Tuesday?
Yeah.
I always thought it was a big weekend.
No, it was a Tuesday night. So I think it held 550. Just there was a good 1,000 people outside the club.
Was there?
Yeah, easy. You couldn't get it sold out every time.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
In Leeds.
Yeah.
With 3 Manchester DJs on, which is another thing worth pointing out as well. That Leeds Manchester thing with the drop of Ecstasy, just house music, it's disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. I'd have never thought of going out to a club in Leeds.
Yeah.
With a load of guys from where I was brought up.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have happened.
I'm going to. So I did a video with Gouldy, and I don't know if you saw it. He was an ex-Leeds hooligan, and then he ended up going to Hacienda, and he was good mates with Jeff, and he's still mates with him now. And I was just messaging him before. Yeah. I was messaging him before him saying that going to go up to Leeds, hopefully the next month or two, get the train down, get a lot of the ex-Leeds hooligans, and then sit with him and then have a chat about Acid House.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because he broke down the barriers, didn't it? It's like you say.
And some.
Yeah.
I mean, you just young lad at that time, 5, 6 years, 5, 6, 7. I mean, there's coach loads in the end, weren't they, going to different places? You just wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Because of the hooligan thing and the divides. But we were going up there, and I always went because the residents really were Sasha, Tony, and Steve Williams.
Yeah.
And excuse me, I got friendly with Tony Hannon, and this was the big one for me. This actually, because I plucked up the courage one night to say to him, it changed things for me a lot in terms of DJing. I said to Tony, "Can I send you a tape?"
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, "Yeah, I know you DJ over in Manchester, but yeah, you can, yeah, of course, yeah." So he wrote down his address to mail it to him.
Yeah.
So I did. I said I did one side. He said just do one side of the tape. We'll get the gist of where you're at with it and stuff.
Yeah.
I did it just like thought. Don't start going back and pressing stuff. Just do the mix. Don't do it loads of times. Don't try to go over any little mistakes. Just do it. And I managed to get a tape over to him with a mix on, and it's different DJing in your bedroom and recording because there's no atmosphere.
Yeah.
But I managed to get away with one slight glitch on it that I got back in time, and I just thought, sorry, I'll send it anyway.
Yeah.
If he's that picker.
Yeah.
Mind you, then I did think, well, he is booking Sasha and Steve Williams and the likes of, so maybe he's not picker.
Yeah.
But I sent him the tape and put my phone number on it, and he rung up and said, "Hey, listen to the tape, love it."
Can you remember what was on it? Putting you on the spot. Any tracks on it? Or what type of music was it?
Yeah,
I know it would have been house, but was it just house?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I mean, a couple of. I'll tell you one. I'll tell you what was on it. There's a remix of "Ruined in a Day," New Order.
Yeah.
That was on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think what else was on it now. You put me on the spot. But I know my friend's got a copy of it.
Yeah.
He has actually still got a copy of it. But it's Agent X. That was on it. So it's open back to me now. I'm gonna as the longer this interview goes on, I'm gonna keep mentioning this.
Yeah.
But anyway, but he phoned me up, Tony, and said, "Yeah, we'll put you on warming up on the next Chaos." I was like, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of them moments where you think, this is cool. this.
Yeah.
This is a gig where it's like this is a cool gig to do this.
Yeah.
Because when people see my name on that flyer, they're gonna think, well, you know, it must be okay because he's on with them. You have to be on the Chaos gigs.
Yeah.
And then I did a few of the Chaoses, and then Tony got me a few gigs as well, acting almost like agent. He got me a gig with John Silver.
Did I?
At Huddersfield University in I've chatted for years. That'd been 91. That actually, and I thought, wow, I'm DJing with John De Silva. I've looked up at him in that box in the Hacienda for so many years, all the time. It was at the Hacienda, and I just thought, you do actually think to yourself, oh, this is great. This, really, I feel it's pretty cool what's going on now. So I was getting them kind of gigs, which was good. I got a couple of the university gigs through Tony, and then another promoter in Leeds who did a thing called University, did it in Bradford mainly. I started getting gigs off them, and then you'd find yourself travelling to London for gigs, or I got a couple of gigs over in Cork in Ireland for the same people who brought Mike Pickering, Graham Park and Russ over. So it just started to feel nice.
Yeah.
Almost. And then it got to the point that I didn't work on the fish market anymore because the DJing was paying me enough to not work.
Yeah. That's the best job ever, isn't it?
Yeah, great. And then you think to yourself, hang on a minute, this feels like I could be a professional DJ here. And that went well for years, really. I did it for quite a few years doing that, and then, but in the middle of all that, when I was doing Vogue on a Saturday night, Dave Johnson and Steve Gorton from Awesome 3, they'd already had Hard Up out. They'd had Freedom of Life out and Possessed, and one of the guys had left the band, and they come to see me on a Saturday night when I was at Vogue in Manchester, and they said, listen, do you want to get involved with us? So initially I was like, I don't know, Scott, I don't know what going in the studio is all about. I don't know. So I'll say yeah. I said, you have to think about it, because I've not been in a recording studio really. I've been in once. So, but what transpires is that we do start doing some stuff. My forte at the time, really, which I found out, was arrangements. That's where when I started working studios, because I was a DJ. I always liked to do long drawn out mixes as much as I could, as much as the vinyl would allow you to. So when we went in, we all wrote "Don't Go" together. But I kept saying to him, if you listen to "Don't Go," it does drag on before the actual first piano drops, and they were really nervous, going, God, it's too long, there's too many bars, we need to chop. You need to take 6/4 bar. And I'm like, no, don't. Let it go, because when this piano drops, nobody will expect it.
Yeah.
And that track has only actually got 5 sounds in it.
Has it?
Yeah, it has, yeah. It's got the break, it's got a delay, if you want to call it that. It's got the vocals, it's got the bass, and it's got the break. So there is actually only 5 things going on in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it work. But when we did Don't Go, we did it at Spirit, and I think all 3 of us knew, and Simon Noble, who was the engineer at the time, I think that we all knew that we'd done something that could work. It sounded different. People were either making almost hardcore records or piano tunes. What we managed to do, not deliberately, by the way, it's just how it works out, was make a piece of music that combined both, and I walked out of Spirit about 9 o'clock in the morning with that on a tape, and I walked over to Underground Records and waited for Underground Records to open for Russ and Ken to come in, and at the same time they were in there really early on, but the sub guys were in there.
Yeah.
So everybody had a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and I said, "Do you want to play that? I've just finished it now." And Ken played it.
Yeah.
And the guys from Subsog, Doves, I'll never forget, they said, "That is a hit."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, and Ken said it as well, actually. Ken went, "That's massive."
Yeah.
And I thought, if two people, if the first two people who are Sub and Ken
Yeah.
Grogan say the same thing, I thought they might be onto something.
Yeah.
But the band had been dropped by A&M, so the band were without a deal. So I've come in, and what we ended up, their agent was a guy called Richard Smith in London at Concord International, and he kind of he went from agent to managing the band. So he got it signed to a really small record label in London called Entity, and then Entity took it to XL, and XL signed it.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, fucking hell. First swear. I thought, XL are going to sign the first thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, look at their stable. And the guy who signed us, a guy called Richard Russell, and he went on to sign, I mean, he signed everything, Lemon Jelly, Prodigy, you know, Adele.
Yeah.
This guy is like, and still to this day, I think we've got signed by Richard Russell, which is a really cool thing. But we didn't know how big that track was how big it was gonna go. And still to this day, what an influence it has on the younger crowd. My son,
does it?
My son, when he first started going out clubbing, would send me videos on his phone going, "Dad, that's your tune."
Yeah.
At like, you know, big raves, and the original, not remixes. So that's where that when we've got signed to XL. It was detrimental to my DJing, though, I have to say, at this point, because I was doing okay DJing, but then we got into doing the Awesome 3 thing, and it was a brand new world for me. And we're going out, you know, and we're going out doing all these raves and stuff. And when I look back now, it's like, well, you stuck behind keyboards miming because everybody did. It looks great on stage and it looks like it's all set up, but you're not. You just, you know, the vocals were live, and it never really sat well with me.
Yeah.
And at the same time as well, I was playing a certain style of music, which wasn't out and out rave, and I think it cost me in the end.
Yeah. That
people went, "Oh, he's great. He's out and out rave."
Yeah.
And not the kind of stuff that I wanted to be playing.
Yeah.
I did a hell of a lot of warm-up sets.
Yeah.
So, but I was happy doing that because I could get away with playing the sort of like more underground feel and the music that I really wanted to play, as opposed to sort of like slightly more mainstream when the big DJs came on. So that's where the Awesome 3 thing sat. It opened up so many doors, though. I mean, we're all over Europe doing gigs here. Honestly, it was outrageous. I mean, what you got to bear in mind is, go back 18 months and working on a fish market. Now we're in Spain in front of 10,000 people,
wow,
and it's that, you know.
Did it get to number one?
No, it never.
Did it get the charts?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it charted. It never got to number one.
The top 10? Or?
No, it went top 30.
Yeah.
But what it has done a couple of times is gone back in.
Yeah.
So, and still to this day, it gets remixed, and you know, people are always asking for us. I mean, I don't know how people get on. I do actually. I'd love to be in a position where I've wrote 10 of them tracks.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you have your publishing, and your PRS comes through to your publishing, and then we still get paid off Excel, but people want to use the music every now and then as well.
Yeah.
So, you've got to get clearance on that, and that's just one piece of music, though. I mean, God knows what it's like for, the big artists who make, multiples and albums and stuff. The amount of money they make off.
Yeah.
That must be nice.
I think coming towards the end now, I think I always lose track of the time. I need a clock or something, but I always try and end them with, I think for you, think of a favourite track from your Kaos days.
Favourite track, Orbital, Midnight Choice, Sasha remix.
Listen to that. Yeah.
That's a good one. There's a few actually. That is my favourite track, by the way. That.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to that on the bus home.
That is a wicked track. So if we're going to go with one, I'll go with that one.
So I'll just stop recording now. Thanks so much.